Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. I'm delighted to say that I'm reconnected with the internet. We've had some hurricane-like storms here in Greece, which I think many of you have been reading about in the news. And that's caused a lot of outages with the internet. So the technician fixed everything for me today. So we should have really, really good connection. So in case you haven't noticed, we're in times of immense change. And now we come to another change point. Yesterday was the equinox. And now today we move into Libra energy. And always it is the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, that herald the changes in the seasons each year. So as we move now into Libra energy, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving into autumn, or the fall, as you call it in America and Canada. And in the Southern Hemisphere, you're moving into spring and summertime. So it's almost like this is a turning point. There's another opportunity for a turning point for us globally, and a turning point for you in your life. And you might be looking at your life right now and saying, gosh, what's happening? What am I doing here? That's probably still a burning question for many of you, is it? I'd just like to thank Lucy for being here, moderating, always being wonderfully helpful, bringing you all together beforehand, chatting with you, and making things go really smoothly. I really couldn't handle the live chat without her. And later, often Drew comes along as well, but Lucy is my personal assistant. So here we are at another seasonal shift. Yes, for many of us, the climate begins to change. Not only have we got climate change, but we've got a physical change in the climate for many of us. Some it's getting warmer, some it's getting colder. What do you want to change? What are the changes that you want to instigate? We're coming up on the 1st, 2nd of October with a full moon in Aries. So Aries is about you, what it is that you want. Bringing things to a head for you. Full moons always bring things to a head. Things that you've maybe not wanted to see. And now we're in this Libra energy. And Libra has everything to do with relationships and finding balance between this full moon in Aries, which is going to be all about my needs and what I want, or maybe what I'm not getting and what you're not happy about. And then this strong pull, the Libra energy has this strong desire to connect and to find balance between the two. These next weeks astrologically look really intense. So the more that you can find balance in your life, not going to an extreme. We're seeing extremes everywhere, extreme weather, hot, cold, floods, droughts, you name it. Things are really polarized politically. They're certainly polarized in the UK, in the US, everywhere. So there's this drama going on between the extremes of energy. And your challenge now, during this Libra month, which just starts today, is to find ways to bring balance into all your life areas, so that no matter what is happening externally, you can somehow find that middle balance point, and that you become aware when you're going into an extreme mode. Yeah, I experience that a little bit when I go out now in Athens. You know, most people have got masks on when you're in the center, and you go in a store and it's like, you know, you can't read people's faces. It's a different world. And you can get caught up in this extreme kind of fear energy now as things begin to spike a little. People are fearful that we're going to go into a lockdown again. So you can get caught up in the drama of fear. And I'm sure wherever you are, or most countries, there's a lot of fear going around. So there's plenty of that in dollops. And are you tuning into that? And just to notice if you're getting caught up in that spiral. And I'm reminded of the Buddhist, this middle way. And this is what happened to Buddha. He was brought up in a totally closeted environment of great luxury, in a palace of opulence. And his family did not allow him to see sickness and aging and death. So he had that extreme. And then when he escaped and he got out onto the street and he saw all the sickness and dying and death and suffering, he then went to the opposite extreme and he became an ascetic. And he starved himself and he nearly died. And he realized that that wasn't the way either. So extremes are really never the way. And the Libra energy is this opportunity to become aware of, where am I out of balance? Is one side of my body out of balance? It's great to write with both hands. Since I began the channeling exactly 5 years ago today, it's an anniversary that the Pleiadians came along. And of course, they do all these paintings. I'm simply the medium. I really feel as though I don't know how to paint. They choose the paints, they choose the brushes, so they tell me if they want me to use fingers and hands or sponges. It's all an experiment, quite honestly. It's wonderful, I love it, but I'm just sharing that. So it's about finding this place within you when you become aware of when you're out of balance as soon as possible. And you begin to correct that. You find ways of correcting it. So for me, prayer is a good way. If I just begin chanting some prayers, I can soon bring myself back into that alignment. Music is great. Moving, going for a walk, if you can. Speaking to a friend, phoning up somebody, saying hello, talking to the kitties and the dogs, anything like that, just realigns. So it will be very useful to create a toolbox of things that realign you. In fact, right here now, why don't we share what helps you to get back into an alignment? That what helps you to get back into a balance again? Let's see if we can share that with each other. And then we'll have more tools to play with. Because when you can be in a balance, you're able to be more useful. You're able to come up with useful ideas. You're able to be helpful to others who may not be in balance. So that's this flavor this flavor of the Libra energy. Libra is the first sign, the first 6 signs of the zodiac: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. These signs have to do largely with yourself and your development of self. Virgo, a little less so, because this is learning how to volunteer and wanting to be of service to others, and feeling that urge that you want to be of service to others. And then as we come to the next 6 signs, Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, we're then moving out into the world. We're then moving out. And Libra, the first sign, Libra ruling relationships. Libra is about holding your hand out and saying, come with me. Let me share this sunset with you. Let me share my new book with you. Let me share my new idea. Let me share this gardening I'm doing. Thank you. You're all sharing yoga, meditation, breathing, all things. All the things that help you to relax. Lighting a candle, that's nice, beautiful. Yeah. So I would say because Mercury is about to go retrograde on the 27th of September, it will be retrograde until October 14th, going from Scorpio, late Scorpio, into Libra. And it's interesting because Mars, Pluto rules Scorpio. So it's a time of a lot of deep thinking, a lot of digging. I think a lot of things are going to be revealed in these next 2 to 3 months. Lots of things that have been suppressed, secrets, things that need to come out, corruptions, lies, betrayals, deceptions. A lot of that's, I feel, going to be, woo, it's coming out, it's coming to the surface. And when Mercury goes retrograde, so now before Mercury goes retrograde, good time to back up your hard drive, make sure that you get any important contracts or documents signed, if you can, before the retrograde. Allow extra time for traveling or going anywhere during the retrograde. And remember, retrogrades are wonderful for doing research, for digging deep, finding things out, for learning, for writing. They're often wonderful times for writing. I find that during retrogrades, my writing is a lot easier. It flows. Often creative things are a lot easier because that mental chitter chatter that says, oh, you can't do this, you shouldn't have done that, why do you do all that, yada, 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 it can begin to recede. So it's often a very, very good time for meditation and learning to meditate, learning how to slow those reactions. And the more of us that begin to slow and come into this kind of alignment, the easier we make it for everybody else. So remember what you do in your life and what you stretch yourself into, because this moon energy coming up in Aries, Mars is square, Mars, ruler of the Aries. Thank you, Noya Erda, again, so supportive. Thank you, Manu. And it's square to all this energy of the Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter in Capricorn. So it's time not so much to focus upon the limitations that are maybe being placed upon you by authorities, governments. We'll have to say some of them are quite nonsensical, but maybe we won't go into that. But it's about looking at where are you limiting yourself. It's so easy to look out there and say, you're doing this to me. But much more, very often, you're limiting yourself. So where are you doing things a little robotically? What can you change around, shift around a bit? When you put your pants on, put your leg through the other hole rather than always the same way. I don't know why that example came up, but just in your everyday things, shift it around a little. Become aware of the things that you're doing unconsciously. It's like throwing the light of consciousness to whatever you're doing. I do think we are going to see more extremes as we go into October. Well, it's there now, but the square between Mars, retrograde until the middle of November, and Pluto is going to be very strong. And so Mars and Pluto, these were both planets that want control. And they don't want to concede control. Excuse me. Reminds me of my auntie always worrying. She said, you can't catch anything on the phone, can you? Bless her heart. So what is it in your life that you're holding on to, almost like it's like you're not willing to let go of it, right? Because we're going to see this power struggle, this energy of one set of power people or power energy and another set, and neither wanting to relinquish an inch. And we've got this Libra energy saying, guys, we've got to cooperate. We have to learn how to cooperate. So Mars in Aries is just going to say, well, I'm not doing it your way. Don't like what you're suggesting, don't agree with you. And Pluto in Capricorn says, these are the rules. And if you don't obey these rules, we're going to fine you. We're going to stick you in prison. We're going to do all those kinds of things. So that's on the external level. Lee, thank you. I appreciate that. But looking on the internal level, this Mars square to Pluto, because remember, these planets are affecting us on different levels. So what I would say is, where are you resisting structure in your life? Where do you actually need some structure? Or are you being overstructured? Are you too regimented? I probably err on the side of being a little regimented. I guess it comes from my Austrian background. But there's a certain regimentation and a like of order. I like order. I like to be able to put my finger on something and say, it's there. So where are you a little too regimented? Maybe you need to loosen up a little. And where do you need more order? So these are questions that you might want to ask yourself at this time. And where am I being too intransigent? Where could I just give way and say, hey, does this really matter? And what I would say here with this square Mars and Pluto is choose your battles carefully. Michelle, great, you're starting to write your journal with your left hand. Whoa, yes, I love that, from Speedy Gonzalez to a snail pace. I know that when I first started the channeling, and they wanted me to write with this left hand, it was like, I couldn't even hold a pen with my left hand, let alone try and write with it. Even now, it's not as fast as the right, but it's catching up. So again, it's this energy of what is really important to you. Thank you very much, Heather. I appreciate that greatly. what is really important to you, Mars in Aries, and reflect about it because it's retrograde, that you really want in your life and you're not willing to give up and you're not willing to make allowances for. What is non-negotiable? And this square to Pluto is, where must I give way? If the law is to wear a mask when you go in a supermarket, well, you aren't going to get in a supermarket without wearing a mask. So where are you resisting something that is not helpful? And this is what we're going to come up against, is like this resistance to things that might not be very helpful. So we're also in November coming up to Pluto and Jupiter coming conjunct. So if you think we've got extremes now, wait until November. And I think we're going to see a greater, because Jupiter magnifies everything that it touches. Pluto is about power, authorities, banks, corporations, government. This is the expansion of that power, expansion of it. And I think we are, many of us, quite aware. And thank you, Marie Flores. She's encouraging everybody to like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you would. Lucy encourages you as well. Drew, welcome, thank you. Because the more of our family here that like the video, the more we join together. The more of us that join hands together, the more upliftment, more consciousness, the more we can help one another through these challenging times. These are not easy times. But hey, maybe we didn't choose easy. It's very satisfying, isn't it? After you've lifted a heavy weight or you've done something that you felt was difficult and then you've done it. It's a very nice feeling afterwards. It's like, whoa, did it. And that's the feeling here. Thank you, guys who really like it. Thank you. Suddenly 30 people liked. Shout out to Lucy and Drew for being wonderful moderators. Thank you for helping along in this live chat. And we've got this square going on to the nodes. Square with Neptune to the nodes of the moon, Neptune in Pisces. Squaring the nodes. And this energy of the Neptune is very much one of confusion. And I don't know about you, I am pretty confused a lot of the time. Welcome, Amy, it's your first live. And to those of you here for the first time, welcome. And this sense of confusion, who's telling the truth? My dear friend Pam Gregory, we were having a chat last night, and she said that she's had a few people now telling her that it seems that there's proof that the Earth is flat and that the planets don't move at all, and therefore astrology is a load of nonsense. And the moon is rusting. I don't know anybody else has heard this, but there's all kinds of weird and wonderful stories coming out. Because we do have this south node in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the master of a storyteller, the master of a big drama. So, yeah. So there's confusion around the laws, the regulations. I had to laugh. It seems that in England, no more than 6 people are allowed to get together. Thank you, PJ. Lots of love to you too. No more than 6 to get together, except if you are going grouse shooting and you are hunting with guns, then up to 30 people can get together. So one would hazard to say that maybe governments really don't quite know what they're doing. And there's this constant scramble to catch up with, what next, what to do. And so confusion reigns, and getting clarity comes from wherever you can, getting yourself back into balance. You know when you're off balance. You know it. You don't feel good. You feel a bit frantic. You feel a bit worried. You feel a bit fearful. You feel angry excessively. You know. So that's what this is about. Now, talk about confusion. Dara, welcome. You're live. Wonderful Dara Dubonnet. Do check her out. She's amazing. So, confusion will be part of what is coming up. And how do you break through the veil of confusion? You may find yourself making all kinds of silly mistakes and doing kind of silly things. I did today. I'm still familiarizing myself with the Apple MacBook Pro that I got about a month or so ago. And I was desperately looking for the hash key. Could I find this bloody hash key? No. Instead of finding the hash key, I pressed something, and the computer took a photograph of me. And I laughed out loud. I thought, this is bloody hilarious. So you may find that this confusion happens. I was ordering a delivery from my supermarket today, and this always happens near this Mercury retrograde, miscommunications. I ordered 3 kilos, that's about, 6-7 pounds of sweet potatoes. And when the bags came, I thought, oh, this is the potatoes, are going to be heavy. And it was light as a feather because it had 3 small potatoes in instead of 3 kilos. Harmony Grace Art, thank you. Oh, you're coming for a reading next week. I'm excited about that. Thank you. You've been waiting a while. Thank you for being so patient. So, this can be a time of immense healing. There is beginning to be a healing, dare I say it, possibly in the Middle East, with Israel and the United Arab Emirates opening up, with certain things beginning to change that have been stuck for a long time. I love you guys. I just want to say that. I just love you. I'm so grateful that you are with me. I feel you with me when I have those lonely moments, and believe you, I do. And I have those difficult moments when I think, gosh, I know nothing. What am I doing? So I just want to say thank you, because I feel you and your frequency. And I hope that you feel me and our frequency here, the one that's created with Lucy, Andrew, and all of us online and all of us afterwards. There is a frequency that we're tuning into, which is of goodwill, which is of kindness to one another, which wants the best for one another. I want you to thrive. I want to be your family through these times, the only way now is to come together. There is no other way. That's the way I'm seeing it. Of course, I could be wrong. I just don't see any alternative. We just got to get our act together and come together. And work in a harmonious way. Find ways to be harmonious. Libra energy. I'm a Libra sun. I have a lot of Libra. And I'm always looking for harmony and balance and peacefulness. To the extent where many years ago, even recently, I wouldn't have mentioned masks. But now I don't care so much. It's like, okay, so I lose a few of you. All right. You can't do everything just for other people's approval. It doesn't work that way. But what I'm wanting to create is a feeling here that when you join, here, that you feel a sense of being loved. You feel a sense of being appreciated. You feel a sense that you matter and you have something important to contribute. Whether you know it or not at the moment, some of you do. Many of us don't. Feels like you're wandering in the dark. Where am I? What am I doing? That's why candles are good. So thank you for being a part of my tribe. Together we can accomplish so much. And there is a frequency to feel when you are online, whether you're watching this afterwards or whether you're live now. There is a frequency that you can tune into. And I do it often. I get these butterflies sometimes when I think of you all. I go, ooh, so nice. Yeah, I'm not alone. There are many light workers here who want this new planet, who know that this is a unique opportunity where we can bring a new world to this planet, but we've got to come together in a kind way, in a positive way. Apparently, according to science, when we have positive, feel the nice warm fuzzies with one another, a big hug. I realize that's off the table for many of us at the moment, but we can have e-hugs. We're going to have to create that feeling online right now. And what's great is that online we can do it so easily. Right now there are 400 and odd people together. Imagine if we were all in one room together. Woo! And we can get together in these great numbers. This is the advantage of what we are doing. Not having to travel millions of miles. We can tune into this frequency here and now. So it's known scientifically that when you feel these great positive feelings with each other, when we feel this, it creates oxytocin. And oxytocin is that feel-good element that calms you, that makes you feel safe. I believe it's what the baby receives from the mother. I'm not a scientist here, so please, if I'm coming out with incorrect stuff, do correct me in the chat or on comments afterwards. So we improve our immune systems when we have positive interactions. You're going to be much more able to deal with viruses and all those kinds of things if you have these positive relations. And that's what I'm hoping to create. We are creating together with these live streams, with the regular live streams. Because there's something about coming together live, online, that's very powerful. So I thank you so much for being here. I'm extremely grateful for your attention, for your focus, for your time, for your energy, and for the fact that you here are helping to raise this frequency. The more we raise our frequency, the more diversity of bacteria and viruses we have, because it's known that you need a lot of bacteria and diversity in the gut in order for the digestive system to work well. We need more diversity, and the diversity on our planet is reducing. We've been killing off God knows how many species of animals and beings and plants and trees and flowers. We need that diversity, just as we need the diversity of all of us together. Different religions, different cultures, different colors, different viewpoints. Thank you, Nicholas Transcends. I appreciate that. We need it all. So this can be a time of great healing. And I have to say, I had quite an amazing experience yesterday these 10 days, according to the Jewish religion, from Rosh Hashanah, which is the new year, to Yom Kippur, which is the day where we fast and repent for our sins and ask forgiveness. It's got a very deep meaning. I'm just giving you an overview. But these 10 days here are known as Teshuvah, which is a time for really looking at your life honestly and seriously, and a time for asking forgiveness. If you know you've hurt somebody, to ask for forgiveness from that person. And you may have to ask more than once. It is said in the Talmud, if you've asked 3 times and that person then still refuses, you're free. You've done what you could, and then it's up to that person to work with their karma, so to speak. So very recently, from September the 1st, the Austrian government has opened its doors for citizenship, not only for survivors of the Holocaust, but now for survivors of descendants of Holocaust victims or people who were persecuted during the Holocaust. And my mother and my maternal grandmother were had to flee Austria. My mother came out on the kinder transport when she was 14. As a teenager, she went from Vienna to Manchester in England, and also my grandmother came out a year or 2 later. And now the Austrian government have opened this for descendants. So it's timely for me, I have to say, especially with Brexit and living in Europe, to be able to apply for Austrian citizenship. So I went in yesterday with my papers, and I thought I was just going in, routine. They want to check this and that and the other, and police records, and, papers. And I got to the end of presenting the papers to this man, and he said, well, the ambassador would like to meet you. I said, really? All right. We're sitting there, we're in masks. Takes me into this lovely room. This lovely lady comes up, similar age to me. Please sit down. She asked me a little about my mother and what had happened. And she said, I'd just like you to know that we're feeling really good about the fact that Austria wants to try to make recompense to things that happened in the past. We can't change that past, but we really in our hearts want to make it up to the people who suffered as a result of that regime. And we talk some more, but I begin to cry. She's crying. And it was such a touching moment. It's like, wow, I really didn't expect that. So this is a time where we can clean the slate. I mean, the funny side was that, I'm crying there and I'm wearing a mask, and how do I blow my nose now? This was like, but okay, we managed. I didn't blow my nose on my mask. But just such a feeling that if we can bridge those chasms of where we've done wrong personally, where we've done wrong as a nation, to acknowledge what we've done, and then to ask for forgiveness. So, and that way, this is why Yom Kippur is such a powerful day for Jewish people, is that way you can clean the slate and you can get closer with people. I felt so close to this lady, and she said, when your papers come through, she said, it will be my honor and my joy to present you with your Austrian passport. It was like, wow, amazing. So, yeah, very special moment. And I think that we're going to see more of these special moments, because we're going to have to go deeper with one another. When you're wearing a mask, you sure got to go deeper. You can't be superficial. Let's look out for ways in which we can help one another. I loved what Sadhguru said the other day. He made a great suggestion. I've been practicing it a little. He said, when you go out, just for the next day, look at every single person that you meet, that you see, with the love that you felt for your mum or your dad or somebody that you loved so much. And see if you can express and feel that love for every person. It's quite something, but it changes your perspective. It changes. Ah, Margaret, you came from the Hungarian border and you were 8. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So see if you can try that as a little exercise. I'm going to keep practicing it because I notice that I've got judgments, you know, how this one looks, how that one looks. What if he was my father? What if she was my mother or my daughter or my son or my brother or my sister? So we begin to start thinking in that way of wholeness. How can we, as these separate, diverse parts, yeah, we're separate, we're separate entity, yeah, you can't jump into my body and feel if I've got a tummy ache. No, I'm feeling my own tummy ache. If you stub your toe, as Lucy did recently, she's going to feel it, you won't feel it. You might empathize. So we have an individual so-called identity. But we're also part of one race, one species. And this Libra energy now is about reaching out. How can I reach out my hand, or maybe my elbow, or my fist, or whatever it is, whatever greeting you can do. We can't rub noses, we can't do any of those close things. But I can do it with my thinking. I can do it with my thoughts. Yes, empaths can feel it. It's true. It's a little different though. And just to really pray for the peace, pray that we can connect. Wonderful Libra Marshall, I think his name Marshall Rosenberg, who came up with the, I think I've got it wrong, non-violent communication. Beautiful techniques of non-violent communications. How can we communicate with one another in a way that is not violent? And as we move from this Mercury retrograde now, on the 27th of September, from Scorpio into Libra, again, Mercury retrograde, let's think of ways where we won't have to have these separate nationalities, where we're just going to be, I love it, Helen, world citizens. We're citizens of planet Earth. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be on this planet Earth. It's an honor to be with you. Marshall Rosenberg, thank you, Darren. So I just want to thank you once again. This is an awfully important time. These next few months, astrologically, are going to stretch us. I'm in the midst of making some very big life decisions, I have to say, in true Libra form. I'm dithering. Shall I, shan't I? Will I, won't I? You may experience a bit of that. Will you, won't I? Should you, shouldn't you? Energy for yourself. Even if you're not Libra, the Libra edge energy permeates a little. But it really is an opportunity to up our game in our relationships. Can you think of all the people in your life and send them a love message mentally? Because you know they'll feel it. You know they'll feel healthier. I do believe that these viruses that harm us, because there's many viruses that don't, but the viruses that harm us, we can tame those viruses. by being nice and kind to one another. That's my belief. So thank you very, very much, those of you who've supported me on Patreon, who support here on the channel. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Drew. The paintings now, these new ones today, but the paintings are now available on my new revamped website. You can get digital ones that are all $30. All right, just you can get that. You can get your own print made. Some people do have the originals sent to them. I just sent one to America on its way by DHL. But for those of you who just want to do it yourself, you've got that option to do very inexpensively. So I just want to thank you from all of my heart, not just the bottom of it, but all of it, for being here today and for sharing in this amazing time. And let's really look at our relationships, and especially your relationship with yourself. It's not only your relationship with others, it's your relationship with yourself. How can you be kinder to yourself? How can you say some nice things to yourself? That's also a big part of this. So much, much, much love to you all. And I'll just say bye for now.